I've rehearsed this moment in my head 100 times, not because I'm scared of the words, but because I respect them. Some things shouldn't be rushed. Some truths deserve to arrive gently. I'm not here to impress you. I'm not here to promise you a perfect future or paint some fantasy version of love where nothing ever breaks. I'm here because I've learned something about myself in the quiet moments, the moments when no one's watching, when life is heavy, when love isn't convenient. I've learned that real love doesn't shout. It doesn't perform. It doesn't beg to be seen. Real love sits beside you when you're tired. It listens more than it speaks. It stays, especially when staying costs something. So this isn't a confession meant to sweep you off your feet. It's a truth I'm placing in your hands carefully, respectfully. Because if I'm going to tell you, I want to tell you the right way. People talk about love like it's a moment, like something that arrives all at once and changes everything forever. They say things like they talk about sparks and butterflies and destiny, like those things can carry you through a lifetime. But I've lived long enough to know this. Love isn't proven in the moment you fall. It's proven in the moments you choose to stay. Real love doesn't show itself when everything feels easy. It shows itself when life gets ordinary or complicated or painful. Love shows itself when the excitement fades a little, when the conversations slow down, when you see each other clearly, flaws, fears and all, and you don't look away. Commitment isn't romantic in the way movies sell it. It doesn't always feel magical. Sometimes it feels like responsibility. Sometimes it feels like patience. Sometimes it feels like choosing understanding instead of winning. And that's the part people don't talk about enough, because commitment isn't about promising you'll never change. It's about promising you'll keep showing up as you change. I used to think love was about intensity, about how strongly you feel something, how much you miss someone when they're gone, how fast your heart beats when they walk into a room. But intensity fades. It always does. What replaces it, if you're lucky, is something deeper, something steadier, something that doesn't need to be loud to be real. Commitment is waking up and deciding, you matter to me today, even when you're tired, even when you're misunderstood, even when life feels heavier than it did yesterday. It's choosing the same person again, not because you're trapped, but because you're grounded. Real love doesn't rescue you from life. It walks with you through it. It doesn't erase your past. It respects it. It doesn't demand perfection. It asks for honesty. And it doesn't grow by accident. It grows through intention. That's the part I want you to understand when I say I care about you. I'm not saying I'll always get it right. I won't. I'll misunderstand sometimes. I'll say the wrong thing. I'll have days where I'm quieter than you want me to be. Days where I'm still figuring myself out. But commitment means I don't disappear when things get uncomfortable. It means I stay in the conversation. I stay present. I stay accountable. Love isn't about being needed. It's about being chosen. There's a difference. Being needed can feel flattering. Being chosen feels steady. Being chosen means someone sees your independence, your strength, and your ability to stand on your own and still says, I want to walk beside you. Commitment doesn't try to own you. It respects your freedom. It doesn't ask you to shrink. It asks you to grow together. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is believing love should always feel easy if it's real. But anything meaningful requires effort. Not effort fueled by fear, effort fueled by care, the kind of effort where you listen even when you don't fully understand yet, the kind where you apologize without defending yourself, the kind where you choose patience over pride. Commitment is learning how to argue without trying to hurt each other, how to disagree without breaking trust, how to protect the bond even when emotions are high, because love isn't fragile, but trust is, and commitment is how you protect it. I've seen what happens when people confuse passion with permanence. They chase the rush. They leave when the feeling changes. They call it losing love when really they just stopped choosing it. But love doesn't leave on its own. People leave. They stop showing up. They stop listening. They stop caring enough to stay curious about the person in front of them. Commitment is curiosity that doesn't expire. It's still asking, how are you really? Years later, after the routine sets in, after life throws a few hard lessons your way, I don't believe commitment is about control or sacrifice that leaves you empty. I believe it's about alignment. Two people moving in the same direction, not perfectly, not always at the same pace, but with the same intention. Commitment is saying, I won't use your vulnerability against you. It's choosing safety over ego, consistency over chaos. It's not grand gestures. It's small, repeated acts of care, showing up when it's inconvenient, remembering what matters to the other person, making space when they're overwhelmed, standing firm when they're unsure. Love doesn't need to be dramatic to be meaningful. Sometimes the deepest kind of love looks like silence shared comfortably, like support given quietly, like someone knowing your moods well enough to take them personally. Commitment is learning the difference between a bad day and a bad relationship. It's not walking away at the first sign of difficulty. It's asking, what's really going on here? And being willing to face the answer. I think commitment becomes real when you stop asking, what am I getting? And start asking, what am I building? Not just for today, not just for when things feel good, but for the long run, for the version of yourself you haven't met yet, because the people you are now won't be the people you are forever. Commitment is loving the person someone is becoming, not just the person they were when you first met. I'm not telling you this because I have everything figured out. I'm telling you this because I've learned what doesn't work. I've learned that running from discomfort only delays it. That silence can be louder than arguments. That love without commitment eventually feels unsafe. And I've learned that the strongest relationships aren't built on perfection. They're built on forgiveness, on accountability, on the quiet decision to keep choosing each other even when it would be easier not to. So when I talk about commitment, I'm not talking about chains or promises made too quickly. I'm talking about integrity, about being someone whose words match their actions, about staying consistent even when no one's watching, about creating a space where two people can be human, flawed, growing, sometimes confused, and still feel secure. That's the kind of love I believe in, not the kind that burns fast and disappears, the kind that lasts because it's built slowly, carefully, honestly. And if I'm telling you this now, it's because I don't want to offer you excitement without stability. I don't want to speak about love like it's a fantasy. I want to speak about it like it's a responsibility I take seriously. Because commitment isn't something you declare once, it's something you practice every single day. We arrive carrying history, old disappointments, unfinished conversations, promises that didn't survive reality, and versions of ourselves we had to outgrow the hard way. Healing doesn't mean those things disappear. It means they no longer control how we show up. And love, real love, doesn't demand that you be fully healed before you're worthy of it. But it does ask that you take responsibility for your wounds. Because unhealed pain doesn't stay quiet. It leaks. It shows up in defensiveness, distance, fear, and silence. That's where forgiveness begins, not with the other person, but with yourself. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think it means excusing what hurt you. It doesn't. Forgiveness means refusing to let the past keep writing the future. It's saying, this happened, it mattered me, and I'm choosing not to let it harden me. That choice isn't made once. It's made again and again. Some days, forgiveness fits, while other days, it feels like work, and that's okay. Healing isn't linear. You don't wake up one day finished. You wake up willing. I've learned that most people don't struggle with love. They struggle with trust. Not because they don't want to trust, but because trusting once cost them something. So they build walls. They stay guarded. They leave a little early so they don't have to be left. But love doesn't grow behind walls. It grows in spaces where it's safe to be seen, and safety isn't created by perfection. It's created by consistency, by showing up when it's uncomfortable, by staying present when emotions rise, by listening without preparing a defense. Choosing someone daily doesn't mean you never feel doubt. It means you don't let doubt make decisions for you. There will be days when love feels effortless, and days when it feels quiet, and days when it feels like patience. Those days aren't failures. They're part of the rhythm. Love doesn't disappear because it's calm. Sometimes calm is where it matures. Healing inside a relationship requires courage. It means admitting when something hurts instead of pretending you're fine. It means saying, this isn't about you, but it's showing up here. It means allowing someone to see your vulnerability without turning it into a weapon. And it means offering that same grace in return, because healing together isn't about fixing each other. It's about making space for growth. Forgiveness inside love isn't about keeping score. It's about understanding that two imperfect people will sometimes collide. What matters isn't the mistake, it's what happens next. Do you take responsibility? Do you listen without minimizing? Do you change the behavior, not just apologize for it? Forgive is when effort is visible, not loud effort, consistent effort. I think the deepest form of love is staying when the story gets complicated, when past hurts resurface, when trust needs rebuilding, when life adds pressure from every direction. Choosing someone daily means asking, how can I be a safer place today? Not, how can I be right? Not, how can I win? But how can I show up with care? Healing also means knowing when to pause instead of react. Not every emotion needs immediate action. Not every fear needs confirmation. Sometimes healing is taking a breath and saying, this feeling is old. This moment is new. That awareness can save a lot of love. Choosing someone daily doesn't mean losing yourself. It means choosing from yourself, from your values, from your integrity, from your understanding of what healthy love actually looks like. Love that demands you abandon yourself isn't love, it's survival. Real love allows you to be whole. There's a quiet kind of forgiveness that doesn't get talked about enough. It's forgiving someone for not being who needed them to be at a certain time, not blaming, not resenting, just understanding. Understanding that people grow at different speeds, that some lessons come late, that timing matters. Forgiveness is making peace with that reality. Healing also means unlearning patterns, the habit of shutting down, the reflex to push away, the belief that love always ends. Those patterns once protected you. You don't have to hate them, but you do have to outgrow them. Choosing love daily means choosing new responses. Even when the old ones feel familiar, I've learned that love deepens when two people can say, I'm still healing, but I'm trying. I don't have all the answers, but I'm here. I may not get it right today, but I won't disappear. That honesty builds trust faster than perfection ever could. Forgiveness doesn't erase boundaries. You can forgive and still protect your peace. You can forgive and still ask for change. You can forgive and still walk away if respect is missing. Forgiveness is not self-abandonment. It's self-respect with compassion. Choosing someone daily also means choosing the relationship over the ego. Letting go of the need to be right. Letting go of the need to punish. Letting go of the idea that love should never require effort. Effort doesn't mean struggle. It means care. Healing together creates a bond that fantasy never could. Because fantasy doesn't teach patience. Reality does. Reality teaches you how to stay soft in a hard world, how to communicate instead of withdrawing, how to love someone without needing them to complete you. And maybe the most important part of choosing someone daily is this. You don't choose them in afraid of being alone. You choose them because life is better with intention, with them beside you, not perfect, but honest. If I'm telling you all this, it's because I don't want a love that only exists when things are easy. I want a love that understands healing takes time, that forgiveness is a process, that choosing each other daily is the real work and the real reward. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't make speeches. It doesn't need witnesses. Loyalty is quiet behavior repeated over time. It's what someone does when there's nothing to gain. It's how they speak about you when you're not in the room. It's the choices they make when temptation, frustration, or ego shows up uninvited. Real loyalty doesn't belong to moments of passion. It belongs to moments of pressure. People often confuse loyalty with possession. They think it means control, rules, fear of losing someone. But loyalty rooted in fear doesn't last. It just tightens until something breaks. True loyalty comes from respect. And respect is born from emotional maturity. Emotional maturity is knowing your feelings are real, but not letting them run the relationship. It's understanding that emotions are information, not instructions. You can feel angry without becoming cruel. You can feel disappointed without becoming distant. You can feel attracted without betraying trust. Maturity isn't about not feeling things. It's about choosing how you respond to them. Respect begins with how you listen, not waiting to speak, not planning a defense, but actually hearing what the other person is trying to say, even when it's uncomfortable. Respect means taking someone's emotions seriously, even when you don't fully understand them yet. It's saying, this matters to you, so it matters. Loyalty shows up in small, unglamorous ways. Being consistent, being honesty would be easier to avoid. Keeping promises, even the ones no one else remembers. It's not about being perfect. It's about being dependable. Emotionally mature love doesn't seek attention from places it shouldn't. It doesn't flirt with boundaries. It doesn't keep backups. It doesn't need validation that threatens the bond. Because when you value someone, you protect what you're building, not because you're afraid, but because you care. Respect also means allowing someone to be human, to be quiet sometimes, to change their mind, to grow. It means not weaponizing vulnerability later. What someone shares with you in trust should never be used against them. That's where many relationships quietly die, not in betrayal, but in emotional carelessness. Loyalty is staying aligned even when no one is watching. It's how you handle attention from others, how you respond to conflict, how you manage frustration. It's choosing your partner's peace over momentary satisfaction. Emotionally mature people don't disappear when things get hard. They don't stonewall. They don't punish with silence. They don't threaten abandonment to regain control. They communicate, even when it's awkward, even when it's uncomfortable, even when they're not sure how to say it perfectly, because maturity understands that love can't survive avoidance. Respect means understanding that tone matters. Words matter. You can express hurt without attacking character. You can disagree without belittling. You can be honest without being harsh. The way you speak during conflict reveals more than the apology afterward. Loyalty also means choosing privacy over performance, not sharing intimate details with people who haven't earned the right to hear them, protecting the relationship from unnecessary outside noise. Some things are sacred because they're kept between two people. Emotionally mature love knows when to pause, when to step back, when to cool down, when to return with clarity instead of heat. Not every argument needs to be solved immediately, but every issue deserves to be addressed respectfully. Respect grows when accountability exists, when someone can say, I was wrong, without excuses, when they can take feedback without becoming defensive, when change follows awareness. Apologies without change are just noise. Loyalty is proven through action. Maturity also means recognizing patterns, especially your own, and knowing what triggers you, what shuts you down, what makes you reactive, and taking responsibility for managing those responses instead of placing the burden on your partner. Loyalty doesn't mean staying in something unhealthy. It means staying true to your values. You can be loyal and still walk away if respect disappears. You can be loyal and still choose yourself. Loyalty without self-respect becomes self-betrayal. Healthy love requires both. Emotionally mature love creates safety, not because there's no conflict, but because conflict doesn't threaten the bond. You don't fear being abandoned for being honest. You don't fear punishment for expressing needs. You don't fear silence as a weapon. That safety allows love to deepen. Respect is remembering that your partner is not your enemy during disagreement. It's approaching problems as us versus the issue, not me versus you. That mindset changes everything. Loyalty is also consistency over time, not intense gestures followed by absence, not promises followed by excuses, just steady presence. Reliability builds trust faster than passion ever could. Emotionally mature love doesn't keep score. It doesn't collect mistakes to use later. It doesn't measure effort like a transaction. It understands that relationships aren't about balance sheets, they're about alignment. Respect shows in boundaries, knowing when to say no, knowing when to ask for space, and knowing when to step back. Boundaries don't push people away, they create clarity. Loyalty also means growth, being willing to learn new ways of loving as life changes. What worked before might not work now. Maturity adapts, it listens, it evolves. I've learned that love becomes powerful when two people take responsibility for the emotional climate they create together. When both ask, am I adding peace or tension? Am I protecting or provoking? That awareness is maturity. Respect is choosing kindness even when you're hurt. Not because you're weak, grounded. You don't need to wound someone to feel heard. Loyalty isn't about grand vows. It's about ordinary faithfulness, choosing honesty over convenience, choosing patience over reaction, choosing care over ego. Every day, if I'm telling you all this, it's because this is the kind of love I believe lasts, not loud, not dramatic, but solid. A love built on loyalty that doesn't waver, respect that doesn't disappear in conflict, and emotional maturity that keeps growing. This is the kind of love that doesn't just feel good, it feels safe, and that safety, that's where real connection lives.